As we said, like always, I mean, once somebody's back, that's when we'd address that. You know, back out there practicing and competing.
Can he be back to practice this week, or he has to get another scan? Is it today?
There'll be things he'll be able to do.
Okay.
Isn't cleared for contact, but cleared to do some throwing and exercises.
We saw Nico Collins go out of the game. Do you have any status update on him?
No.
Last question, Adam.
Jim, back to the offensive line. Is this more of a, you mentioned the improvement with the offensive line. Is this a rhythm thing with offensive line running backs, or is this running backs are benefiting from the offensive line, or is the running backs just picking it up more? How is this flow going? Is this a lot to do with the offensive line's success on the ground?
Yes, it does have a lot to do with the offensive line, the backs, the wide receivers, the tight ends, quarterbacks. I mean, it's all 11. Improvement, the precision. Back when you were asking, where does this go? How do you get better? I mean, talked at length about, it's all 11.
Do you feel that there's some rhythm there now?
Yeah, I think we've improved, and we'll continue to strive to, see how good we can get.
Did you know that ticket prices can actually go down right before the game? That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time tracks ticket prices in real time from thousands of trusted sellers, then shows you all the best deals. So we can get tickets at the last minute for up to 60% off. Download Game Time now.
Hello, friends, and welcome into the Michigan Football Report. I am Tom Downey. Alongside me is the Michigan Football Insider, James T. Yoder. James, you heard from Coach Harbaugh a little bit about Wilton Speight and then also about Michigan going forward.
Tom, I respect that you used the word "the" because we had a co-host on here 3 days ago. Didn't use "the." I was offended. I disavow it. But glad that he addressed the Speight situation. We talked about it in our Rumors Roundup both last week and earlier on our midweek Michigan Football Report on Tuesday. I think he's ready to play tomorrow, Tom. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens if Brandon Peters struggles at all.
All right, well, we've got a couple different segments for you on today's show. We got Hot or Not, the Michigan Man Top 10, and we'll talk a little bit about the upcoming Maryland game. We'll start with hot or not, but you know what is hot, James, first, though?
Well, Tom, I've heard that Game Time is hot.
Yes, Game Time is very hot. It is the #1 ticket source if you need last-minute concert or sports tickets.
Yeah.
Either one works there. Chatsports.com/tickets. James, I know you're a huge fan.
Well,
it's bailed you out in the past. It is the way to go if you need tickets.
I'm pulling up the app right now. I've got it right here, Game Time. Phenomenal app for last-minute tickets. I've said this before, the Michigan State game, the highest ticket price for Michigan football this year. I got in for like $130 less than the guy sitting next to me. Waited 10 minutes before game time. Got in before game time to use Game Time,
Yeah.
and got in. Tickets are really cheap to Maryland this week. I mean, you're going to go for $40 using the Game Time app. Maryland's trying to sell them on their website right now for like $85.
Tell you what, I checked before we went on air. It was at $52. Game Time tracks your ticket prices in real time. You wait 5 minutes, boom, better deal.
Yeah,
how about
absolutely.
that?
Yep, just
All
use
right.
it, chatsports.com.
So that
/tickets.
is the Michigan Football Insider, and that is the app if you need last-minute sports or concert tickets. Comment here coming in. This one says, James, what happened to your predictions on Chris Evans? You said he was done, lol. You got called out.
Prove it, bro. I don't see the film. Where's the film? All right, but funny enough, I did say he was done. I thought that he was not going to get carries. I was proven wrong. I'm not sure what this guy's name is, but hey, that's a frozen cold take by me. I messed that one up. In my defense, Ty Isaac has been out, so he has popped from 3 up to 2, and Kareem Walker was also hurt. So I think I get a little bit of reprieve. Those guys are healthy. I think you see Chris Evans, even though he got 190 on like 16 carries, a couple touchdowns, I think he's going back to the bottom of that depth chart once those guys are healthy.
All right, let's get into hot or not, and a guy that's very, very hot right now, Kalik Hudson, James.
Tom, we've had some discussions. Is it Kalik? Is it Kaliki? I've heard Harbaugh say Kaliki. I've been called out multiple times for saying Kaliki, but I guess it's Kalik, so we're going to start saying Kalik nonstop. Huge game, Tom. The best game by a defender in maybe Big Ten history, according to the stats. 8
Unreal.
tackles for losses, which is a Big Ten record, Tom. I couldn't believe what I was seeing because he had been on kind of the almost not list for us for a while, for 3 or 4 weeks. He had not been having a good Big Ten season, and he just came out of nowhere in this game. I thought he played phenomenal. He reminded me, Tom, of Devin Bush in that Florida game. We've raved about that game out of Devin Bush, and Khalil Hudson is he's the man right now. Everybody's loving him in the football community, and it's much deserved.
It was 8 tackles for a loss. He was a just machine against Minnesota. I think part of that was by design, but he made the right read every play, as you just saw right there. Had the proper read, cut down on the quarterback. Great play there from Hudson. Wildly impressed by him. Frankly, that entire Michigan defense, outside of one drive, just shut down Minnesota all game long.
Yeah, you love what Michigan's done in the last few weeks is in several games, not counting Penn State, not counting Michigan State. For the majority of the time, they've actually given up. They've given up points early on in the first quarter. They've given up a touchdown. Usually the game's 7-7, 7-3. Sometimes they've even been down. But the defense quarters 2 through 4, outside of the Indiana game, has been phenomenal all year. If you look at some of the stats they've thrown up there, quarterbacks are going something like 2 of 7 for 14 yards, 3 of 11 for 7 yards in the second half against Michigan. And it's just another testament to Don Brown replacing 10 starters. The only guy he returned as a starter, Tom, is probably the lowest rated defender on the team right now in Mike McCray. And this defense is up there. We'll have a chance to finish, again, the #1 rated defense according to the stats in the country.
All right, we'll get down to our next hot. It is the halfbacks, James, and this is no surprise. They were unreal against Minnesota.
Yeah, and Michigan has had to focus on the ground game. Jim Harbaugh has kind of taken the reins away from Drevno and Pep Hamilton, put his own stamp on it. I think sometimes you got to do that. When things aren't working, you just got to double down on what you think you have, your strengths. And they have done that with the running backs. Karan Higdon has proved for several weeks now that he is an all Big Ten caliber running back. Not sure why he wasn't getting snaps the first 3 games. And Chris Evans, after doing nothing much of the year, got a touchdown 2 weeks ago, 191 yards and 2 TDs last week. And, he's coming out as a force, somebody that a lot of people have written off, myself included.
Higdon, though, has been nothing short of spectacular.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, he's from two 200-yard games, Tom. I think the last 4, yeah. So it's tremendous.
We'll keep it rolling then on our hot or not list. We'll get to the offensive line, and again, against Minnesota and against, going back to the Scarlet Knights game as well, they've been great of late.
About time, right? I mean, so 334 against Rutgers a couple weeks ago, 371 and 4 touchdowns on the ground, both those games for the running attack. And this is a much maligned offensive line for Michigan. They were kind of the weak spot of the team last year. They've been absurdly the weak spot of the team this year, other than quarterback. And they have proven the last 2 or 3 weeks that if they don't come ready to play, ready to dominate, that Michigan doesn't really have a chance to put up many points. And they've got to do that to get these running backs out in the open field. And those guys have proven they can make plays.
So those were your hots. Let's roll into the not list, James, and it's the health of the offense. Frankly, it's a very banged-up group right now.
Yeah, I mean, so we've got 6 starters, Tom, one-time starters or kind of consistent starters that were out last week. And we think some of these guys like Isaac, Onwenu, maybe Perry, Ty Waitley Jr., all might return this week. I'm not sure if you're going to play many of those guys, even if they are fully healthy or close to healthy.
Wheatley in particular.
Wheatley, yeah. I mean, maybe even on Onwenu because they've got, Cesar Ruiz is a true freshman, highly rated kid, got in the game. And it is Maryland. No offense, Cam Rogers. I don't expect Maryland to be able to put up many points against Michigan. So
not when they're down
even
to
if Michigan doesn't have these
string quarterback.
Yeah, these 6 guys, Ty Isaac, Michael Onwenu, Grant Perry, Ty Wheatley Jr., plus, Tom, Michigan's #1 receiver, Tariq Black, and, of course, their starting quarterback for the last 2 seasons, Wilton Speight, all out. I doubt any of them play this game, but I bet you see those 4 guys listed suit up in addition to Wilton Speight.
All right, one more not is the Michigan wide receiver core, and it's just been bad. Like there's no production.
It's like on the flip side, is it the running backs or the offensive line that's getting production on that side? And this one, is it the bad quarterback play or is it the bad wide receiver play or is it a combination of both? But Michigan can't throw the ball with anything, Tom. They are in the bottom 10 in the entire country in passing yards this year. The bottom 10 in the entire country. That is absurd. That's fairly ridiculous to think about, but no one stepped up. Tariq Black made some plays early on. You've seen a couple great catches out of Kakoa Crawford, but nothing consistent. Grant Perry started to come on, but then he missed a game with injury, and no one really stepped up at all in his absence. So Brandon Peters the last 2 weeks has almost had to focus exclusively on running backs and tight ends and a lot of screens and a lot of kind of short pass plays. I mean, their best pass play last week was a tight end screen. Tom, how often do you see that?
Not very often, folks. All right. Once again, folks, I am Tom Downey. Alongside me is the Michigan football insider, James Yoder. Some comments here we're going to get to, then we'll get on to our Michigan man, top 10. First one coming in from Jason says, do you think Peters was held back because of the ground game success, or is this the blueprint for the offense going forward?
Well, I don't know if they're holding anything back, because it's tough to think they'd hold anything back given what we saw against teams like Indiana and some others that Michigan couldn't move the ball with John O'Corn. And, of course, if Peters is your third-string quarterback, I'm not sure what you'd hold back. But I really question why Peters hasn't got more of the opportunity to throw more often in the fourth quarter with a multiple score lead. I know that probably the fear is that, ooh, what if he gets hurt? You know, what if he throws a couple interceptions? And I don't think those are valid concerns. I think Michigan should give him more of an opportunity to throw the ball time because he needed. So if we don't get 22 to 25 passes out of Peters this week, I'm actually going to be questioning again the Michigan offensive staff, having opportunities to get guys playing time, get guys reps they need to prep for Wisconsin and Ohio State. Got back-to-back teams that at some point in the year were in the top 5 in the country, and you got to get Peters throw. So I'm really looking forward to seeing if they're going to let him throw the ball and maybe throw the ball to wide receivers.
This one coming in from Tyler Johnson says he keeps seeing stuff Harbaugh's going to the Colt next year. What's your guys' opinion? I say no, he's not. First of all, Tyler, this has been a topic of discussion on our Rumor-O-Meter segment, which is also coming up in a little bit on today's show. But James, on Harbaugh and the Colts.
Yeah, I see the reason for the speculation. You've got Andrew Luck. You've got his old team. Jim Harbaugh led them to the AFC Championship game in 1995 against the Steelers, lost on a Hail Mary play that could have been caught. And I think there's a lot of things that would attract Jim Harbaugh to the Colts. But, Tom, he hasn't really proven that he's a winner at the highest level in college. He hasn't even attained the heights in college in 3 years that he did in the NFL. I mean, he was in the Super Bowl in year 2 in the NFL, and he hasn't even finished higher than third. I know it's kind of sometimes a stat that seems deceptive, yeah, because how strong that division's been. But, you know, he hasn't won at the highest level of college football. So I have a really tough time just seeing him going back, unless there's some reason that we don't know about that he thinks he can't win at the high level. I don't know if it's that he's not able to recruit the way he wants to, which I think Jim Harbaugh has had every opportunity to win at the highest level. He's an unlimited budget, Tom. They've got the coolest contract. Now Oklahoma's got it as well, but they've got the first Nike school wearing Jordan, and so he's got every advantage in the world, the biggest stadium. So if he can't put together a national championship or two in the next 3 years, he's never going to. So I think he's got to win at the highest level before he even considers. And I wouldn't be that mad if he let the program in good hands, Tom. If he won one or more national titles in 6, 7 years, 8 years as coach, and then decided, okay, I'm 59 years old now, I want to give the NFL another shot, I would not be mad at that. But you got to win first.
Okay, I think that's fair. One more comment coming in from Anthony says, who do you guys think should start for Michigan, Speight or Peters? Or I guess Perters.
Perters, yeah, or Speights.
I like to make jokes on grammar.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Anthony, appreciate the question. I mean, it's Brandon Peters until proved wrong. I mean, even the minimal amount of throws he's had, Tom, only throwing 5, 6, 7 times in the second half the last couple weeks, even then, he looks so much more like a quarterback, still looks so much more poised. Didn't make the mistakes, didn't freak out the second somebody came off the D-line and was within 5 feet of touching him like John O'Corn did, like Wilton Speight did early in the year. Brandon Peters has got to be your starter the rest of the year, no matter what. Even if they lose to Maryland, give Peters this chance, because O'Corn's not coming back next year, and I just don't think they can win a championship with Speight. So you got to go with Peters or McCaffrey or another quarterback that may be looking at Michigan as a transfer. We'll get into that in Michigan Rumors, the Rumor-O-Meter here in a few moments.
We'll get to that. Coming up right now, though, folks, is the Michigan Man Top 10, the 10 best players for Michigan so far this season. We'll dive right in and go to number 10. At number 10, James, a player that, maybe we don't want to see on this list, but he remains on there because of other factors surrounding the Michigan offense in particular. It is kicker Quinn Nordin.
Tom, Quinn Nordin is a phenomenal kicker. He might win Kicker of the Year this year. He might be your best kicker in America. Maybe. It depends. I haven't really tracked kickers too much, but he's had a phenomenal season so far. And for a while, Tom, he was up in the top 5 of this list because he's Michigan's maybe their best offensive player sometimes, which
I think early in the year.
Kind of sad to say, but Quinn Nordin has been a phenomenal kicker all year. 14 of 18. He's hit a 55-yarder. I believe it was a 51-yarder, both in that Florida game. Has missed a couple of extra points recently, which is kind of, I guess, one and a field goal.
He missed one against Minnesota, and I think he missed one the week before that as well. He's been a little bit iffy lately.
Yeah, so a couple of extra points, which is really strange from a guy that who can hit from so deep. But Quinn Nordin, I love that he's just a redshirt freshman. I love his haircut, Tom. He's got the Wild Thing haircut.
Mention that every time.
And there's multiple games this year, Tom. This Florida game being one of them, and then the Indiana game, that if Nordin wasn't in that game, Michigan could have lost multiple games.
I think probably they do lose those games.
Yeah, I mean, he scored 15 points, I think, in the Indiana game. Or I'm sorry, I might get my games wrong, but there's one game he hit 5 field goals, and that was the difference of the game. Maybe it was the Purdue one, actually. But he's been a phenomenal player this year. I'm going to keep him in the top 10 unless a receiver or multiple, a quarterback. If Brandon Peters throws for 400, maybe he gets in the top 10. But Quinn Nordin is maybe the second best player in this offense behind Karan Higdon so far this year.
All right, folks, we will keep it moving. Then we will head to number 9 on our list, and at number 9, a new entry. He's been on in the past though, but at number 9, Chris Evans, the halfback, reemerges. James.
Yeah, he was a staple of this list in past last year as Michigan's maybe their best running back in 2016. But a touchdown 2 weeks ago, another touchdown this week. He's been a little bit of a safety valve for Brandon Peters. They came in together, Tom, as recruits, both of the state of Indiana. I'm sure there's some sort of connection there. Like, yo, I'm from Indiana, just like me and you, Tom. Both Ohio guys doing a Michigan show. And he caught that pass for a touchdown. And then he's just shown the ability to break tackles the last couple of weeks that he's never shown in his career at Michigan. On those 2 touchdown runs, he broke at least 4 tackles in each one. So Chris Evans is back. I hope they continue to get him carries, and I like the fact that he's only a sophomore. He's got a couple more years in front of him.
Yeah, an incredible game against Minnesota. 13 carries, almost 200 yards.
This is the one right there.
And
That's the tackle I'm talking about.
That was a nice run right there by Chris Evans. He is your number 9 Michigan Man of the Year. We'll keep it rolling. Go to number 8 on our list, and at number 8, James, we're going to go to the offensive side of the ball. Again, Mason Cole, the top lineman for Michigan.
We had taken Cole off the list. He got in there a while back, got off the list. But, I want to keep him on all the time. But there's one week he stepped up a few weeks back. But Mason Cole has been the best offensive lineman in the team. And given that offensive line group, they're hot, what the running backs are doing, and that Peters, except for a couple plays, one where true freshman Cesar Ruiz totally whiffed on a block. Brandon Peters hasn't really been touched. And
he got lit up on that play.
He did get lit up. We were watching that one. You thought he might have been out for the game.
I still think he had a concussion that wasn't properly handled.
Breaking news. But Mason Cole has been the best player on the offensive line. He's a 4-year starter at Michigan, and I'm glad to see it all kind of come together. I thought for a while he was better as a true freshman than he was as a sophomore and a junior, and now he's proven as a senior that he's the kind of player that we all thought he would be.
Right, we'll head now to number 7 on our Michigan Man top 10, and at number 7, it's Khaleke Hudson, fresh off the incredible game against Minnesota. But James, after what he did against the Golden Gophers, why is he only 7?
Yeah, because it's the rest of the Big Ten season where he was actually, for a while, a liability on defense in several games, Tom, where he was getting beat in the running game for sure. He wasn't shedding blocks at all. I saw several times where a running back went his direction, most notably against Penn State, a running back or quarterback, where he was completely lost. And so he fell off this list and fell way out of this list for a while. So that game got him back into the top 10, but he needs to put 1 or 2 more of those, at least near that range, to get up into the top 2 or 3 over guys that have done it all year, like Mo Hurst or like Devin Bush.
Mm-hmm. Again, the game against Minnesota, 15 tackles, 8 tackles for a loss. It set the Big Ten record.
That's insane.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's insane.
All right, we'll go now to number 6, and this is as we get to more and more defensive players on this list, which shouldn't be much of a surprise, James. It's Rashawn Gary.
Yeah, I wish he had more sacks, Tom. 2.5 sacks for a guy like him this late in the season, I think, is a little underwhelming. Only 1 forced fumble. So the stats don't tell the story. It's really the eye test with Rashawn Gary. He gets doubled, he gets tripled. I think him and Mo Hurst have both benefited from each other, and I think Chase Winovich has probably benefited from both of them the most, and the linebacker crew. Yes. If we go back if we think about one position back, we've got Khaleke Hudson. He doesn't make all those tackles for loss unless it's guys like Rashawn Gary and the rest of the defensive line who are just all over the place, freeing up the linebackers to get into the backfield and make those kind of plays.
And here's some of the highlights from that Florida game. I want to point this out, and you kind of mentioned this, James. He's been drawing a ridiculous amount of attention.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he gets doubled up almost every play, and if he doesn't get double time, it's when they're running a play to the opposite side of him, usually a running play, so he doesn't even get a chance to make a big play. We saw in those Florida highlights, though, there have been many plays where they've thrown it to the other side of the field or done like a jet sweep, and Gary has chased down the play and made a tackle from 15 yards on the opposite side of the field and come out of nowhere and made a tackle. So he does have some speed on him, and he's I kind of thought when he was a recruit, he reminded me a little bit of like a chubbier player, but he's pretty lean. Maybe he just looks a little thick in the neck, but he's a pretty lean guy when you look at him up close.
Let's get into the top 5 then. At number 5, it is the cornerback Lavert Hill. Now, he didn't have a tackle against Minnesota. Didn't have one against the Scarlet Knights either. That's because teams aren't even throwing near him anymore.
It's the no-fly zone.
They are avoiding Lavert Hill at all costs, and it's showing.
It's the no-fly hill, Tom. That's what we're calling it now. I just coined that phrase. And I think you could say outside of a few of the plays made by Jordan Lewis last year, Hill has had as big of an impact on this defense as that Lewis did on last year's defense. Now, Lewis had more game-changing plays, most notably the Air Jordan catch against Wisconsin. But Hill has been phenomenal. They just don't throw him the ball, Tom. It's like you never hear his name called because he's not giving up many passes. And you could say the same thing about his counterpart, David Long. The fact that Michigan lost 2 seniors that were both 3-year starters to the NFL or otherwise in Stribling and Jordan Lewis, and Hill and Long have filled in, they haven't missed a beat, I think really speaks to the level of coaching they're getting and the talent they have.
It's not always the case, but normally when you see low tackle stats for the cornerback, that means they're not giving up any catches, and that's the case this year with Hill.
Yep.
We'll go now to number 4 on our Michigan Man Top 10, the 10 best players this year for Michigan. At number 10, James, it is Devin Bush, the tackling machine.
Yeah, he, like Hudson, had a little bit of a quiet middle part of the season when, didn't really do much in games against Penn State, Michigan State, a little quiet in some other games. But he had a really nice game against Minnesota under the lights, kind of reestablished himself as the man on that Michigan defense, the guy that I think just pops off the screen with his speed, and of course his hair hanging out the helmet is always going to stick out. But he's back and playing great, and Michigan's defense wouldn't be the same without him. So he's been pretty much a staple in the top 3 or 4 the entire season.
And he's a pretty effective pass rusher too. I mean, he's not supposed to be your typical edge rusher, but he has 5.5 sacks this year, and it's the speed. The speed pops on tape, and that's a key factor for this Michigan defense.
Absolutely.
Without Devin Bush, I don't know how good this defense actually is. And I think you say that about kind of all these guys on this list, but with Devin Bush, again, top 4 only 4 for Michigan. For a team like Maryland, easy number 1 guy.
Tom, you know what I love about this list? Everybody in this list, except for we'll get into them, but it's pretty obvious Mo Hurst will be on it. Everybody in this list comes back next year.
Good thing. All right, we'll get now to number 3 then on our Michigan Man Top 10. Yet another defensive player, Chase Winovich, who has just been the sack machine for Michigan, benefiting from playing with Mo Hurst and Rashawn Gary.
I can't say enough how much Winovich has. He got some playing time last year, and people said, "Chase, who is this guy?" When Taco Charlton went down, and he is proven to be just as good as Taco, I think, and he's still got another year ahead of us. So his stats are phenomenal. He makes an impact almost every game. He's probably the one defender, Tom, that I don't think him and Mo Hurst, the ones that you could say every game they've had a good game. I haven't seen one down game from either one of those guys. You could say about the corners, the linebackers, everybody else had games where like, they didn't play that well. But Winovich is one that has not, and that's why Tom, he kind of popped out of the list to high in the list. Now he's been in the top 2 or 3 the last 3 or 4 weeks, and he's going to stay there.
He has been. We'll get now to number 2 as we get to the highest rated offensive player this year from Michigan. I think most people know who this is. It is Karan Higdon. Didn't get a lot of work early, James, but since then, my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, so he's going to be Michigan's first 1,000-yard back, Tom, since 2011, and prior to that, since 2007. So they've had 1,000-yard back in the last 10 seasons. Higdon's about to be that. Multiple 200-yard-plus games this year, Tom. 10 touchdowns. I mean, this is the best season Michigan's had of running back really since 2006 with Mike Hart, going back 11 years. 2007, Mike Hart was injured and didn't have that great of a year his senior year. So, and Higdon, you know what? He's going up against the handicap of really not playing the first 3 games. So those stats are on 6 games, Tom, basically. And by the way, just so we throw that out there, he has the exact, almost within a few yards, the exact same rushing stats as one Saquon Barkley.
Impressive. And I want to throw this out there as well. He might get to 1,000 in this game against Maryland because he had 200 last week on 16 carries. Why not again?
Hey, he's Mr. 200. That's what he is, right? So I think it's possible. And against Maryland, I think you're going to see, and I go back to Brandon Peters' talk, but you're going to see Michigan run the ball a heck of a lot. If Isaac isn't back, Tom, if some others that are injured aren't back, I think they have no choice but to give it to Higdon 15, 18, 20 times, and if he can make plays like that, 200 yards again.
All right, let's get then to our number 1 Michigan player this year. At number 1, it is the senior defensive lineman, James Maurice Hurst, who's been effective pretty much every game, especially as of late.
Tom,
he's really picked it up.
Throwing it back to you, as an NFL draft super expert, which you are, top 11 in the world, 7 in the world, whatever it was, is Hurst a top 5 pick?
I don't know if he's going to go top 5. My expectation is you're not going to see a defensive tackle go top 5. Typically you don't, even if they're disruptive. Every now and then you get a Solomon Thomas, but more often than not, it's the edge guys that go top 5. He'll be first-round pick, though. I'll be surprised if he isn't because the tackle for loss numbers, 10.5 already, he's disruptive. And he's not just a run stuffer. He's pretty effective in terms of getting sacks and into the quarterback. He's not going to be the 2-down defensive tackle. He is going to be the 3-down defensive tackle. That's why he'll be a first-round pick. He could be the first defensive tackle taken in this year's draft, and that wouldn't surprise me at all.
You know what?
Still plenty of time for everything to change, though.
You say defensive tackles aren't taken top 5, Tom. Big Daddy Dan Wilkinson.
Yeah, and how did he turn out?
I believe,
and how did he turn out?
Oh, phenomenal. I think he's got a Wikipedia page. That means he's famous.
Just because someone has a Wikipedia page doesn't mean that they're good in the NFL.
I disagree.
So, yeah, but in this new age NFL,
well,
pass rushers go early.
Hey, Big Daddy. That was his nickname for a reason.
Yes, it was Big Daddy. It was Big Daddy. All right, folks, once again, I'm Tom Downey. Alongside me is the Michigan football insider, James Yoder. We'll get now to some rumors, James. Some juicy ones, I think, this week.
Yeah, very juicy rumors, Tom. We talked about a few big. This is a great rumor week for Michigan football. Yeah. We had 4 or 5 on Tuesday. We've got a few more today, and they're just as good. Yeah.
All right, we'll look through here what the Rumor-O-Meter means. If you see no Harbaugh heads, it means it's totally false.
Fake news.
If you see one Harbaugh head, it means there's a small shred of truth.
Small shred.
Every lie is built on a kernel of truth, James. 2 Harbaughs means the people are talking. 3 means it's pretty likely. And 4, it's a fact, F-A-C-K.
Tom, Jim Harbaugh spells it fact. We spell it fact, right? We say it fact as well.
Yes. All right, then let's get to our first rumor. Jacob Eason is going to transfer, and he's considering joining Michigan. You're giving it 2 Harbaughs means, hey, people are talking.
People are talking, Tom. Let me tell you, this is not coming from the Michigan side. This rumor is actually, it's come out of Georgia. The Georgia writers, people inside that program say he's basically lost the job to Jake, from State Farm, whatever the joke is we say about that guy on another show.
Jake from State Farm.
Yeah, Jake from State Farm. Yeah, that's right. And Fromm is proven that not only has he performed better in the field, but he's better in practice. He's just a better quarterback. And Jacob Eason, Tom, who was a all-world recruit just 2 years ago in the same class as Brandon Peters, is going to be for the taking. He's going to transfer from Florida in just 4 weeks from now after the SEC championship game. He'll be out of there, of course, if they make it to that game. And could Michigan be one of those schools? So, Tom, when he looked at different schools in the recruiting process, after Mark Richt was let go and Kirby Smart came in the touchdown or as a quarterback, he opened up his recruiting just a little bit. He looked at Florida, he looked at Miami, Florida, he looked at Washington, he looked at Washington State, looked at Michigan. There was rumor for a while that he was going to come. I think ultimately Jim Harbaugh didn't invite him because Brandon Peters was already on campus then, Tom. And I think there was maybe like, there's no need to go for him. We've got our guy. But if Peters is, if Eason's ready to look at Michigan, I believe Jim Harbaugh will do everything he can to get him to come on campus and sell him that, hey, you might have made the wrong decision or it wouldn't be the right place for you, but you can be a championship level quarterback here at Michigan. It might upset Dylan McCaffrey and Brandon Peters and other quarterbacks that are coming into this class. But where I sit is you can never have too many good options at quarterback. It is proven out for the 3 years under Jim Harbaugh that you can't have too many good quarterbacks. We're in year 3, and you haven't had championship level quarterback play except for a few games out of Jake Rudock at the end of 2015.
All right, once again, folks, 2 Harbaughs mean the people are talking. It's not a fact, but it's also not totally made up. So there's a chance.
It's a rumor. It's a rumor for a reason, but I think this is one that we'll see develop into pretty likely. Not that he's going to come to Michigan, that he might call Jim Harbaugh up. He might ask for Michigan to be on a list of schools that he can go visit, before he makes his decision and enroll somewhere in January. Now, he would not be able to play next year, Tom.
Yeah,
he would have to sit out 2018. He could play for Michigan in 2019 and have 2 full years of eligibility left at that point.
Let's get then to our next rumor that John Harbaugh will be on the sidelines versus Maryland. James, there is a distinct lack here. 0 Harbaughs.
Tom, where are the Harbaughs out here?
That
means it's
totally
false. Yeah, so here's where he's going to be, Tom. John Harbaugh has been on Michigan's sideline each of the last 2 years. During the last time Michigan played at Maryland a couple years ago, he was there just as a normal Baltimoreite, making the short trip down the expressway to come to this game. Last year he was actually on the sideline on Baltimore's bye week, and he was actually standing right next to Jim the entire game. I can't remember which game that was. It's kind of like his hype man, telling him, give him a few ideas on plays, but he will be at a high school lacrosse game, Tom. Recruiting? No. Watching his daughter play lacrosse. There's a conflict in the Harbaugh family. He chose his daughter over his brother.
Probably the right choice.
People are talking, Tom. There might be some sort of sibling to niece rivalry going on here. I'm not sure how it's going to play out.
I think picking the daughter was the correct choice.
But John's not making it to the game this week. I don't know what that says about his relationship with his brother.
I think it means that his daughter's more important. I think it's just that simple.
People are talking.
All right, we'll get now to our next rumor that Speight is ready to play tomorrow against Maryland. James, 3 Harbaughs.
Tom, it is
Pretty likely.
I didn't want to go FACK fact on this one because there's still some out there that say that it's just a smoke screen to give Maryland another thing to think about. But I think this one is, it's a 3.5 Harbaughs. We should have chopped a Harbaugh face in half and put it on the screen. Maybe we'll do that for next time. But I think you'll see Wilton Speight in uniform tomorrow. I think you will see him throwing, running, taking snaps during warm-ups with the second string offense. And I think if anything happened, whether Peters got injured for a play or two, or if he had a John O'Corn-like performance, that Speight would go in and take those snaps. And so, Tom, this is 4 to 5 weeks earlier than the initial medical report and the diagnosis after that Purdue game. And then you heard for a while, maybe he could come back for Ohio State. Then it turned into maybe Wisconsin. Now it's Maryland, Tom. He's 5 or 6 weeks early, and I think it's a testament to the medical treatment he's got at Michigan, unlike what he got at Purdue.
All right, folks, again, for those of you just joining us, this is what the Harbaugh heads mean. 0, totally false. 1, there's a small shred of truth. The 2, people are talking. 3, it's pretty likely. 4 Harbaughs means it's an FACK fact. That's getting out to our last rumor-o-meter that DJ Durkin was interviewed for the Maryland job during Ohio State game week. 4 Harbaughs, it's a fact.
It's a fact. I think it was what they call a Freudian slip. Am I pronouncing that right? I think you called him DJ Jerkin.
I did.
Because the guy is a jerk. He's nothing but a jerk. And I said this to Chat Sports' superstar morning host, Cam Rogers, today. I said, from Maryland, Maryland's finest, one of the great grads, gave the commencement speech for the broadcast journalism school this past year. You know what I said to him? Hey, bro, your treasurers are trash, okay? I'm glad they got rid of this guy because, 1, you don't interview during Ohio State week. That's probably why they lost, because this guy had his head up his ass and wasn't getting the team ready to stop some schmuck like named Ezekiel Elliott. I don't know whatever happened to him, who ran for 245 yards against Durkin's jerk defense. But, yeah, he was interviewing during that week, Tom. I think Michigan should run up the score this week. They should drop 78-0 on him, just like they did against Rutgers last year. This guy is a bum, and I would never, I don't care if he wins 5 Big Ten titles, I would never want him as Michigan's coach. You don't take interviews during Ohio State week, Tom. I hope some Michigan players remember that. What was he doing? He was in the DJ booth trying to get a job at another school.
All right, folks, those are your rumor-o-meters for this show. Do you know what time it is, James?
It's game time.
It's game time. Today's show brought to you by the Game Time app. Get it today at chatsports.com/tickets. If you need last-minute sports or concert tickets, the Game Time app is the only way to go.
Tom, listen, I am getting street cred from all my friends who are Michigan fans because they go on those other StubHubs of the world. We don't say those names because we're Game Time people, and they see tickets for $135 plus like $80 in fees. It seems like you go on Game Time, 60% off, but you gotta wait, Tom. You gotta wait till the last minute. Wait half hour before the game. They're always dropping in price. Game Time's got technology. They've got the best app for sports tickets. GameTime.com or GameTime.co. Chatsports.com/tickets. Get it now, iPhone and Android.
All right, folks, it is game time. So let's talk then about Michigan versus Maryland. First off, get your score predictions in the comments section. Producer Brett Scott can get them up on screen here in a little bit. James, Michigan favored in this one by 17. The spread is only 45.5, i.e. a low-scoring game. Maryland does very little on offense. One note on Maryland, James. There's a pretty good chance that they are actually down to their 4th string quarterback in this one. Tyrell Pregome is out, as is Kasim Hill. Both those guys down.
God bless you.
Yeah, exactly. With season-ending knee injuries. Max Bortenschlager, the 3rd string.
God bless you again.
Is also hurt. Ryan Brand is a walk-on. He filled in last week. He could get the start this week. Not a promising sign for the Terps.
Tom, what's the guy's name again?
Which one?
The last one? The one that you didn't have to
Max
sneeze
Bortenschlager.
through? I don't think that's the guy. I would say Brand. Okay, wait, anyways. But
Ryan Brand.
if
Tyrell Pigram.
If any of those 4 guys make it past halftime, I'll be surprised because I think Michigan's defensive line is coming with their ears pinned back, ready to knock another quarterback out. They're going to have a wide receiver taking snaps by the middle of the 3rd quarter. Time.
This one's going to be Baylor from a few years ago.
What's that?
It's going to be like Baylor from a few years ago. They just had to turn the receiver.
Absolutely. So they're going to be taking. This one's going to be ugly. I don't know what Michigan's going to do on offense because I still don't know what this offense is with Brandon Peters as the quarterback, Tom. But I do know what the Maryland defense is going to be. They're going to have pain, is what they're going to have, Tom. The Maryland offense, because Michigan's defense is coming ready to play. I've got my prediction, Tom. I don't know about you. What are your thoughts on this game?
This is going to be a rout in this one. Also, I want to mention, I think if Brand goes down, I think the next guy up is a dude named Legend Brumbaugh. Yeah, his first name is Legend. So that guy needs to be the starter. Make it happen.
Listen, Tom.
His dad, by the way, is currently Maryland's co-defensive coordinator.
Really quick, before we go to our score predictions, I just found the name for my second son, Legend Yoder. That is the best name I've ever heard in my life. And if we get to that guy, I'm actually going to start rooting for Maryland, I think. That's a phenomenal name.
I've told you my name idea.
Oh, yeah.
My firstborn son. Yeah.
T-Rex.
Yeah, Timothy Rex. We call him T-Rex.
T-Rex. That
Successful kid no matter what.
That kid will beat some kids up in elementary school, that's for sure.
All right, we'll keep it rolling then now. We'll get to some score predictions, kind of get it back on track. James, this is a rout. I got Michigan winning 31-7. Maryland gets kind of lucky with one score. Michigan in control the entire time.
Yeah, Tom, I've got it at 28-3. I don't know how I came up with these scores. It just seems that feels right, that to be the score. I think Michigan scores about the same amount of points they did against Minnesota. They get some action going in the running game. I hope Peters gets more throws than he did. And, of course, I don't think Maryland does much anything, especially with Legend Baumgartner as the fifth-string quarterback that's probably taking. My man, that was coming up. Come on, son is about to come up here.
It's not his name, but come on, son Harper has Michigan winning 38-10.
Yeah.
And that seems to be a popular score prediction there. Antoine Barak says blowout. I approve of that as well.
Yeah.
Demetrius says 45-17.
Ooh, he's got Maryland winning big.
I think he's got Michigan winning.
Oh, okay.
Nice try.
Right.
Antoine says 42-10 as his actual score. And then Travis Cooper has Michigan winning 31-17. Common theme there. Blowout game.
Travis, let's get you back in the comment section. I want to know where you see Maryland scoring 17 points against this Michigan defense. This ain't Texas, bro, okay? This is Michigan, all right?
And that's also now the fourth-string Maryland.
Yeah, they're not scoring more than 10 points max.
All right, folks, don't forget to get the Michigan Football Report video podcast at chatsports.com/GoBlue. What's it ranked at right now, James?
Tom, it's been in the top three, We didn't do an episode yesterday or anything like that, so we're going to pop back in. We might be number one after today, Tom. Chatsports.com/GoBlue. iPhone users only. You can watch highlights, Tom, of the games. You can watch press conferences. You can watch this show 3 times a week for free on the iPhone video. And by the way, Tom, people don't know this. You can minimize it out, swipe up, whatever, press that play button. You can just listen to it in the background as you're going on your day.
That's the way to go there. I do want to get to one more quick comment here. We couldn't not bring this one up from Anthony David. Final score 1,456-7.
You know, Georgia Tech did score 222 against Cumberland College about 1937. So we'd be close. You know, we beat that one by a good 1,200 there.
I had to bring that one up.
Absolutely.
All right, folks, that will do it for us today. If you missed anything, don't worry. We'll play it over again here for you on the page. But for James and producer Brett Scott, I'm Tom Downey. You guys stay classy out there.
We said, like always, I mean, once somebody's back, that's when we'd address that. You know, back out there practicing and competing.
He'll be back to practice this week, or he has to get another scan? Is that today?
There'll be things he'll be able to do. Isn't cleared for contact, but cleared to do some throwing and exercises.
We saw Nico Collins go out of the game. Do you have any status update on him?
No.
Last question, Adam.
Jim, back to the offensive line. Is this more of a, you mentioned the improvement with the offensive line. Is this a rhythm thing with offensive line running backs, or is this running backs are benefiting from the offensive line, or is the running backs just picking it up more? How is this flow going? Is this a lot to do with the offensive line's success on the ground?
Yes, it does have a lot to do with the offensive line, the backs, the wide receivers, the tight ends, quarterbacks. I mean, it's all 11. Improvement, the precision. Back when you were asking, where does this go? How do you get better? I mean, talked at length about, it's all 11.
Do you feel that there's some rhythm there now?
Yeah, I think we've improved, and we'll continue to strive to, see how good we can get.